Patrick Beverley releases statements regarding him and Russell Westbrook's past, present, and future. What he says is absolutely shocking, and it's absolutely 100% the truth. Is bringing in Patrick Beverley big enough for the Lakers to actually be into the playoffs, yet alone even title contenders? Now, everywhere that Patrick Beverley's gone, they've made the playoffs from not making it, so he does have a pretty good resume. But what is it about the Pat Bev move to the Lakers that will help them or hurt them? That's what we're discussing, and we're going to bring up exactly what he said, and we're going to dissect it from a Hooper's perspective. What's up, Hoopers? I am your NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a Hooper's perspective. And if you like that type of content, then make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click the bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. All right, so Pat Bev was interviewed the other day, and he is letting it rain. In fact, he was even quoted as saying, "Hey, what's it like playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis?" And he said,
"Me."
Yeah.
I made the playoffs last year. They didn't. It's the difference.
You guys started talking.
The dude is full of himself. He's 100% go at all times, and I freaking love it. And it's exactly what the Lakers needed. Now, if you take it back to when they won the championship back in 2020, I think the ringleader of the entire group, obviously LeBron was the best player. He got MVP. Anthony Davis went off and was AD, bubble AD. But Rondo was the glue. He was the dude who was absolutely keeping that team together. And you had the hype crew in the back, like JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. It kind of reminded me of like the Mighty Ducks. Like these dudes just came together. They weren't supposed to win, and they freaking fought like heck to do it. So that's the kind of chemistry. Being in locker rooms my entire life can make or break a team. I've been in both situations. And trust me, when nobody's getting along, nobody trusts each other, you ain't going to win a game. I'll tell you that much. So Pat Bev was interviewed the other day, and what I want to do is bring it up on the screen for y'all to read. Now, when asked specifically about playing with Westbrook, Beverley said, "It works to have another ball handler out there with me. I haven't had an explosive guard like Russ to play with defensively and offensively." You also are going to have another ball handler. He's about 6'9", 260 pounds, and the greatest basketball player of all time. Oh yeah, LeBron James. So there's your first problem, but I do get his point. This is somebody that, you know, he can fill up a backcourt with Russell Westbrook to where offensively and defensively, most importantly, which is what Ham is trying to structure in the locker room of the Lakers organization. That's what he's talking about. Now, I do believe, again, this stuff can kind of rub off. I've talked about this in a few videos, but especially, you know, throughout my career, I remember playing like crosstown rivals even in high school where you literally hated that school, you hated their colors, you hated their players. I even had a job one time where I had to go play or work with one of them, and I was like, I'm gonna kill him. But then we started playing together, AAU tournaments, summer league stuff, Vegas tournaments, and I would die for him. I would play as hard as I could, and we became tighter than we've ever been, like lifelong friends. So I get it. Now, I've also listened to interviews from some of the top players in the entire NBA, and they all talk about how great of a teammate Westbrook is. So he gets absolutely slammed by the press and by the media and by the fans, but the dude is an all-out hustler and player. He was put in the wrong situation, wrong spots, wrong offense last year, and I hope to God that all changes. I just did a video on what the Lakers are going to be, you know, doing as an organization with the 4-out-1 and the spacing of the floor and where every single player's hot spot is, and it can work. But the biggest issue we're going to have is if Westbrook wants to bring that ball down and Pat Bev wants to bring that ball down and LeBron wants to bring the ball down. Honestly, one of the best situations I saw and see in the offense when studying so much tape, let Anthony Davis bring that ball down. He's going to have the biggest, tallest, and best defender on him. You're going to have all these other players in the wing, and they're going to be moving and shaking, and all of those players hit from a high level in the wing spots or in the corner spots. So that's one way that they can really increase this offensive efficiency. Now, real quick before I get into this second one, which was the most shocking, you need to comment down below. Just be honest. What is the Lakers' record gonna be at the end of this season going into the playoffs? And will they make the playoffs? I'm predicting a 5th, 6th seed. We're not talking any kind of injuries or anything. They can make it to the playoffs. And if they get that LeBron, they get that Anthony Davis, they're gonna go a long ways deep into the playoffs. So the next thing that he said was a player with that competitive spirit, that fire, that will, that dog, that nastiness, that grit, to have running mate like that. I have never had that, Beverley said. So I am super excited to see where it goes. Obviously, like any relationship or marriage, things we are going to have some tough conversations. That's the interesting point right there. We are going to have some interesting conversations. I thought that they probably already did, but just by saying that right there, I think they're probably easing into this a little bit. Like, yo, bro, we've gotten in like some fisticuffs going here a few times. So, yeah, it's a little easy. But after this presser, yo, him and Westbrook, they dabbed it up. Like, those dudes, they're talking. But that kind of threw me off a little bit that they need to still have those tough conversations. But that is what comes with winning. But I am excited about those conversations. I am excited about the practices. I am just excited to be able to compete with someone like that. So the one thing that this just reeks to me is that these dudes have been absolute nemesis for so long, and they respect that, right? They respect each other. Even though they hate each other's guts and they would love to go out into the streets and just brawl, that's a respect, right? When I was playing college basketball, okay, the one guy that came in and he was at the exact same position as me, we fought like cats and dogs. Every practice we went at each other. We literally would go into blows, man, and we would fight as hard as we possibly could. But damn, I respected that dude. Like, he could give it back to me. And so when we actually would go out there and play in games, who were the Bash Brothers out there? Me and him together, right? And so it's just that competitive fire. These dudes are going to be going at each other at practice. I know you got ones and you got twos, but they're going to be going at each other as well, and it's going to create this competitive to where they're on the floor, hopefully. Now, this is all predicated on Westbrook just giving into this, right? But I think he can because he has that competitive drive. He wants to freaking win, right? He's been just pounded his whole life as this stat guy. I think that's obviously, it's true, but that's just because of the way he plays, right? He's a hustle guy. They say he's 6'4". He ain't. He high-fived Pat Bev in that press conference. I stood next to Pat Bev this summer. I'm 6'3". He was right here, and those two were eye to eye. So I think Westbrook's more of like a 6'1" guy. You comment down below how tall you think he is, but he's explosive. These two dudes together in the backcourt, I'm talking defensively, they can completely change games. And if they get any kind of hand on the ball, any kind of tip, Westbrook, you better be getting on your horse, getting down that floor and finishing, because that is what you were born and bred for. Getting down the court and finishing. The rest of the offense, don't even worry about it. Just get down in the corners and be moving as much as you can so that your defense or your defender has to be watching you instead of LeBron, right? Last season, they would hand it to LeBron. Everybody would stare. They would cut one guy, and then nobody would be open, and he would do some fadeaway shot. Now, he can hit a lot of those, but it's a terrible offense, especially when you have a Westbrook. Now, the last quote here, like I told you, it was shocking, homies. Come on, Hoopers. I changed the culture of all three of them. So he's talking about the last teams that he went to. And this is like Chris Paul. Everybody's so hardcore on Chris Paul, but everywhere he goes, they win. They go deep into the playoffs. And he took an Oklahoma City team that was a complete write-off and got them to the playoffs. So this is something that Pat Bev does, and I've been in these locker rooms. Again, these are guys that don't have to fill a stat sheet, but they just are everything in that locker room. You hear captain's picks come out a lot in the NBA, especially the NFL, and usually it's that gritty dude. He's the dude who wins over the locker room. He's the one who sets the tone, and he's the one that everybody respects. And Pat Bev can do that, right? I hope that he really instills this. He's going to take that message from Ham and make something big out of this. I changed the culture out of all three of them, Beverley said. But I am not here to change the culture, and this is my absolute favorite part. I am trying to implement what I feel like has worked over the past years, and that is the more closer you are, the more you are a team. The more time you spend together, the better you'll be as a team. I remember watching those Miami Heat teams with LeBron and Birdman and Dwayne Wade and Chalmers. Those dudes were together all the time. They were making all of those funky videos, dancing in the, in the locker room. They were tight. You see that, and this is what, the talking heads, the ESPNs that never played basketball or been in a sport before, they don't get. They do not get the chemistry is sometimes what leads teams to a championship. The Warriors have the best chemistry ever. Those dudes absolutely love each other like brothers, like absolute family members. You look at that Detroit team that Darvin Ham was on, those dudes loved each other. And there was a recent interview on All the Smoke with Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, and they were interviewing Rasheed Wallace. He said those dudes literally hung out 24/7, every day, every night. I'm watching the Lakers documentary of when Magic was there. Magic, Byron Scott, these dudes, they literally hung out every single day. That chemistry means everything, and I love that because last year, the body language was off. Every game I watched, they just pointed fingers. They could not wait to be over that season. They got to get together. They got to have that chemistry. Bronny Braun's got his mini camp coming up here soon. Get them all together, and somebody like Pat Bev needs to get in the middle of that and say, yo, mother effers, this has got to be what it is right here. We ride together. We die together. You know, some real Mike Lowry stuff. And the Lakers can really do this. I really honestly feel they have the talent if they change their attitude. The attitude and the support of each other like brothers will take them a long ways. I am your NBA white guy, and as you can hear, I get passionate because I speak from a hooper's perspective. And if you're loving this type of content, make sure that you hit that like button. You subscribe so you never miss one of my videos. Now you need to comment down below, what's your hooping experience like? Have you ever been in these locker rooms where chemistry was able to win you games? And do you believe that the Lakers can actually make it into the playoffs with the roster they currently have? And until the next video, hoopers, we'll catch you later.